And welcome to just a free and easy, really. Free and easy, and a bit of a thank you. We've got model buses to show you. We've got all sorts of things just for 20 minutes or so. If you want to come along and say hello, then you're quite welcome. You know, I'm pretty sure you know me from Penny and Alex's stream and Build the Rope Master and everything else. So, how is everybody? Are you all right? It's been absolutely chucking down with rain today here in this part of Yorkshire. Not all day. It's been raining from about 3 o'clock this afternoon, I think. And but it's been belting it down at tea time. And just as we was cooking tea, there was a rumble of thunder, and we thought, we're going to get tea out the way. Anyway, we did. So lucky. Well, I was hoping that one or two of you would join me tonight because I've got a thank you to say, and one of the thank yous is for this magazine, which was on my wish list, my Amazon wish list. Which is the Hobbies magazine, and a very kind gentleman, Mr. Fleetwood Jason. Thank you very much. And what an interesting magazine. And that little clip I showed you earlier on of something which I'm going to show you is this magazine is going to come in very handy for that. And I'm pretty sure that one of our members on the Rope Master group that's just recently joined us, he'd be well into this magazine as well. And I was hoping that he would come along and join us tonight, but I don't know whether he will or not. But we might get onto that in a bit. Let me go back to see what we've got in here. We've got Steve Graham. Hi, Steve Graham. Thanks for joining us. Must excuse me because this was a bit of a last minute thing. I wanted to just get something up and running really for the group, and to show you that I'm not all about buses, and I'm pretty sure that you're not all about buses neither. So, but we'll have a bit of a play around and see what we can come up with. Hi, Adrian. I got the link at last. Thank you. Yeah. My good friend Adrian, he really has helped me out with the computer. Computers and me go nowhere, honestly. They're alien to me. Give me an old-fashioned spark plug to work with or something like that, then I'm fine with that. But computers, blimey. I'm sure we've all been there at some point, haven't we? And then we've got Gordy B. Hello, Gordy B. Good to see you. Good to see you. And yes, Steve, a bit of everything really, I suppose. Showing and sharing, as we used to call it at the primary school. Not that we'll go there, of course, but that's what we used to call it, showing and sharing. Well, let's get into the main bit of the broadcast, really. Can you hear me all right? Is the sound all right? Is the quality of the video all right? And everything like that. So, we've got Chris in that. Hi, Chris. Oh. So, all's good. Well, all's pretty good with us, I suppose. Yeah, it's been an up and down week, as it normally is, but there you go. We've got to have up and down weeks, haven't we? If we don't, it'll be all flat. Right, we've got Fleetwood J there. Hiya, Fleetwood. Join but is ready to take. That's all right, Fleetwood. I don't know whether you caught me first on or not, but I was publicly thanking you for this. earlier on, and thank you very much indeed. It's going to come in very, very handy. Keep watching, because I'll show you why it's going to come in handy. I haven't brought all and everything down what I was going to show you though, so I brought some things down to show you, and we'll have a look in a minute. Adrian says I'm currently on a mobile phone. Yeah, I thought you was, Adrian. Yeah, I thought you was. That's absolutely fine. So, can you hear me all right? I don't know whether you can hear me all right. Can you? I'm a bit muffled. I'm trying to work out whether you can hear me and see me all right. That's the main. And before we go on to explaining anything, I've recently joined via another member on our group, on the Ropemaster group. I've recently joined a group that they modify their models and they weather them, and that's going to come in very interesting to me, because I want to weather a couple of models in the future. And one of the models that I want to weather is, and I'll show you this on this camera, is this one. This is a Bedford Irby. I hope you can see that all right. This is a Bedford Irby model in 1/24 scale, so it's rather big, as you can see. So 1/24 scale. I've had it quite a few years now, and but sadly it's got bits and pieces missing, like the headlights. It's got scratches. It's got broken windows. There's bits on it that's broken, and I actually picked it up very, very cheaply indeed. In fact, it was an absolute bargain. It really was. And this is one of the models that I want to weather and modify into a diorama, and I want to make the diorama into this coach being in like a bit of a scrapyard, I suppose, or a bit disused and rusting, and bits dropping off it, and wheels falling off, and that sort of thing, and broken windows and panels, and so I've just nicely joined a Facebook group all about weathering vehicles, and oops, I'm hoping that will do that superbly, because otherwise it'd be a shame. You can't get bits for these, unfortunately, and you have to buy other models, and models that are complete are very expensive. Unfortunately, this one was, well, it was less than £50 with the postage, and that was it's about 5 or 6 years ago now, maybe more. So I was very lucky with that, very lucky indeed. And as you can see, it's quite a large model. So, and beautiful detail on it. I don't know whether you can. Whoops, bits falling off already. See inside, there's some spare bits inside, but like it's got all like the seats in and everything, and you can see the driver's cab. I suppose I could put it on Penny's Dizzycam, but we'll have to see on that one in a bit later on. So that's one of the things I was going to do. In the future, of course, I'm trying to map out all my different things I'm going to do in the future. And then the other thing that I've been working on prior to the Ropemaster is a model, a 1/12 scale model of my dad's old bus. Now, my dad had a 1927 Leyland Lion, which he restored, and he found it in a field actually, and a woman had been living in it because it was like a caravan for 18 years, and she went into a housing complex, and he saved this bus in 1968, and he started restoring it, and he eventually got it on the road, and incredibly so. And if anybody wants to know any more about that, I can show pictures, but not on here, not tonight. I can show pictures on the Facebook group if you like, or on my Facebook or whatever. And this particular bus was built by Leyland's in 1927, and it went to Bradford City Tramways in Bradford, and spent about 20 years there, and then went to some fair people, and these fair people ran this bus with they altered the roof on it to make a Mollycroft roof, which is a higher built roof, and then they stored a brandy stall with it, and they took it all over the place, and they ran it for about a good 20 or 30 years, and then it was disused and converted into a caravan. And then this lady in Bridlington in East Yorkshire, which isn't very far from here really, 40 miles away from here, she started living in it, and she lived in it for 18 years. And of course, a vehicle of that age was, starting to drop to bits after 18 years. So my dad found it via a friend, and he then started on restoring it, and we made they had a group in Hull of bus enthusiasts that were helping him, and he eventually got it on the road, and he then was fortunate enough to make an ITV series with it, a 13-part serial called South Riding in 1973, and you can find that on YouTube, actually, clippets of that on YouTube. Type in South Riding 1973, and you'll come up with eventually bits and pieces of my dad's bus in that serial. And so it's rather a famous bus. He decided to sell it in the 1980s, the early 1980s, and it's ended up now in the Keighley Bus Museum. And now, because of all these years later on, it wants restoring again, and hopefully it'll be done one day. It's in the dry, it's safe, and it's not very well looked after, but it's in the dry and safe, shall we say, and hopefully somebody will restore it and get it back on the road, hopefully so. Anyway, let's have a look and see what I was going to show you and what we opened tonight's snippet with. Here we are, look. And you'll have to excuse my dizzy cam work, and you may end up losing my sound, but I'll try and get it through to you as best I can. So basically, what's a Leyland Lion? Well, I can show you that via a magazine here, and just move that back a tad. There we are. That's a 1927 Leyland Lion bus of the same type. It's not actually my dad's bus, but it's of the exact same type. So that's a 1927 Leyland Lion bus. Lovely old bus there was, petrol engined, and most of them didn't have a starter. Most of them were started by the starting handle at the front there, and so you had to start them with the big starting handle. Of course, it was early days in 1927, so there was very primitive bus, and there was all wooden construction, so, and they had metal panels, but a wooden construction on the body. So that's a Leyland Lion, and this is going to be my interpretation of it. I don't know how much you can see of it really, but I've got basically the bodywork probably done, I suppose, the most of the basic bodywork. And as you can see, the bodywork is fluted. It goes down here. Okay, and then you'll probably see on a better side view. And this is all made out of wood. I made this out of wood, just wooden, hardwood, off-cut bits. Got the cab done. and it's on a proper chassis as well. It's on a wooden chassis, even though they had steel chassis, obviously. I've got all the side done down that side, and all the fluted panel work down that side. And the worst bit to do, I suppose, would be the back end. The back end was a devil of a job to do. It really was. But we've got most of it done now. And then when I'm doing the roof will be done in cedar strips, as it was in the olden days, done in cedar strips. And I'm having to rehash, as it was, some Tamiya wheels and make my own wheels. These are Tamiya 1/14 scale wheels and tires, and you can see that they're a modern. If you look on the inside there, you can see that they're a modern wheel. Probably tell on the back ones more than anything else. They're a modern wheel, are the Tamiya wheels, and the tire sizes are wrong. But there's no way I can get 920s or even 82520s. So I'll have to deal with the 1125s. But I can hash them to make them look something like, all being well. And it'll just be a simple axle on the front. But these have yet to be finished. But if you look at the profile of the wheel, you know, they have two like oval holes in the dish of the wheel, and then there would be obviously the wheel nuts poking out from them. And if we go back to that, it's not a very good picture, but there we go. I think there's probably some more pictures further right in on it. But they're getting there, I suppose. They are getting there, the profile of the wheel. And that was made by a body filler, just some body filler that I mixed up and put in the wheel, and then I can score the body filler and then stick nuts onto the circles so they look like wheel nuts. But I suppose it's going to look right. Hopefully it will. But it's a project that I've shelved for quite a while now, because obviously we're building the Routemaster, and but I want to get on with it as soon as I can, really, when things get going. And another sorry for reaching across. Another venture that I'm looking at is building I'm building a 90-inch wingspan Lancaster bomber, and it will have 4 petrol engines, and I'm not going to make it fly though. I'm definitely not going to make it fly, and that's because when you're building something like that, a 90-inch wingspan remote control model, you do put many hours into it, and a lot of patience and time goes into it. Not necessarily a lot of money, but a lot of time. And when you've got time in a project, and you try and fly something like that and it crashes, well, it's not very good, really. You could really so the idea is I'm going to display it, and I've also got a 80-inch wingspan Dakota, which is partly built, and I was going to show you that, but I've not been able to go downstairs. So we was building that as well before the Routemaster came along. And the Dakota will also have working engines, but it'll only be for display purposes. I don't intend flying it. I know some people would say that you get an awful lot of pleasure out of something that you fly, but having said that, Oh, what's going on here? Where are we? There we are. Yeah, it's looking. Yeah, thank you. No, well, I'm not an expert. No, I wish I was. So, and Mike says, well, yeah, he's been editing again. He says, so yeah. Well, I try to be a good guy. I suppose we all try to be good guys, don't we? And yeah, I have been busy, Steve, without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah, well, busy before the Route Master came along. It was my retirement project, shall we say. Um, and my son had the D'Agostini Spitfire, and he was building that along with while we was building bits on our Lancaster and Dakota, and he wanted to display that as well as the others that we were doing. Anyway, he's decided that he wants to give it to me now, me and Chris. So I think we're going to end up with his D'Agostini Spitfire, because he's simply got enough on his plate really. So, and he wanted it to go to a good home. So, and he knew that we would eventually do it. So, which was really nice of him, really, as a nice present to his mum and dad. So there we go. Right, let's see if I can get rid of this cam for a minute. And sorry if I seem a bit unprofessional. I'm just obviously not used to messing around with cameras and computers and what have you. There we go. Let me just have a slurp of me. And I've got water tonight. There we go. I've got water. So, what are you guys busy with? Obviously, you're busy with the Route Master, and I know Mike there. You're busy with all sorts of everything, aren't you, Mike? And we keep seeing your videos pop up now and again. And you know, we enjoy a lot of the videos that end up on YouTube. You know, there's a lot that's involved in this group that do other things. You know, we obviously have other hobbies as well, which we haven't shared with you yet. We're heavily into family history. Me and Christine, we used to do an awful lot of family history with my dad and everything else. And when he passed away, we got all his family history resource, which was just about a mirror image of what we already had, really. And there was a lot of photos, and sadly, he didn't know who was in these photos. They came from like his mum and his dad, and he does know some people, but he knows not very many, like, you know. So he wrote on the back in pencil who he knew there was, and then who he doesn't know. He just left them blank. So of course the generations now have moved on and moved on, and sadly the older generations have passed away, and so there's nobody left now to ask who these people are on these photographs. But family history is so interesting. If you do get a chance, go into family history and see what your family was up to in the past. I was very lucky to be able to get back to the 17th century. And most of my family were either farm labourers or millers or farmers. And my great granddad was born in a watermill, and my granddad was a steam engine driver, and and then Christine's dad was pretty much the same. She was come from a good farming family, and from the Norfolk area really, and they travelled up in them days in the 1800s with the threshing machines, and they went where the work was on the farms with the threshing machines. And so it's really interesting, his family history, if you can get into it and you've got the time, and search back and see what your ancestors were up to. Do make sure that you check out the information there. Good resources are the libraries. The library would be the best place to go if you want to get back to 1836. You can do that quite easily at any major library. And before that, then you will have to go into bishop's transcripts and things like that. So, but there's lots of resources out there now, and there's even resources online, which is when we started. There wasn't the internet, you know, we was doing it all by hand, and physically visiting places and trying to look through records of these old books. You know, people would bring out these old books and you'd have to wear gloves, and you know, you'd be opening the page and there'd be 300 years of dust falling out of it, you know. So but having said that, family history is really interesting. So get into that if you've got nothing to do, and you know, whatever. I thought somebody might have joined me on the stream tonight, but it doesn't look as though anybody's interested tonight, or maybe nobody's in, or don't want to join me. So that's fair enough. I'm not really worried. So I didn't want to hold you guys up too long. I just wanted to tell you what we was all about, really. And you know, we're always here if you need to talk to us. I'm only part of the admin team, and it's you guys out there that's building this bus, that's doing all the work. You're the experts, really. We follow along, you know. Okay, we'll help you out if you get stuck. You know, we'll try and do our best what we can. Please try and follow along every Wednesday with Paint with Penny on her channel, because obviously on her channel she's doing Build the Route Master week in, week out on every issue. So you know, if you're a little bit behind or even a long way behind and you want to see what's coming, or it's a good resource to look for if you're struggling with something perhaps in the future. If you're struggling and to get your bits and pieces from Hachette, which a few people are, please be patient with Hachette. It must be a ginormous undertaking, because of course they don't just do Build the Route Master, they do the Terminator and the Bismarck and this, that and the other. And you know, we're talking the whole width and breadth of England here, and issuing that magazine from one place to other places in England must be an absolute nightmare. So yeah, I would strongly advise that you look at other people's channels as well. World of Mike there, he's got a good channel. I'm not sure who else is on. We've got Fleetwood J on. Fleetwood J, wow, he's got some incredible builds on there, and he does some marvelous modifications to his Build the Route Master. He really has, and his diorama is absolutely second to none. It really is. And then who else have we got on here? We've got Adrian Langley's building the Terminator. Wow, that is brilliant. It's got all these moving hands, and it's got moving jaw and heads. Oh, makes me cringe. But if you're into that sort of thing, it's marvelous. It really is. We've got on here also, if I can find it, we've got on here also, I can't find his name now. I can't scroll down fast enough. I told you me and computers don't get on, didn't I? No, we've got a full community really of people that's doing different bits and bobs. You know, we've got Chris Camplin. Chris Camplin's doing the big Lego builds, and then he's doing the Terminator. We've got Chris Davis. He's doing build the Jaguar. And he's doing build the Ropemaster. Now, build the Jaguar. That car is absolutely incredible, and Chris Davis is making such a marvelous job of it. It really is. It is absolutely spot on. Also on here we've got Horlicks. Check out Horlicks' channel. He's doing Build the Rope Master. He's doing the new tractor project with Penny. Penny and Horlicks are doing the new tractor project, the RC tractor. That's a marvelous project, is that one. So Horlicks' channel. Look at that on YouTube. Please support these channels. You know, because we're here, we're doing it for nothing, you know, and you know, we're doing it for you guys, for your entertainment. So and hopefully, you know, hopefully you're obviously enjoying what we're doing. Even if you're laughing at us, I don't care. We'll laugh with you. So right, so we've got no, I changed the link, Adrian. I changed the link, and that's why. Well, I think I did. Yeah, I changed the link. So, and we've got Zarika Scott. Is it? Hi. Mention me. Okay, we'll mention you. Hello, Zachariah Scott. So we've mentioned you, Zachariah Scott. Are you all right? Not seen you on before, but obviously welcome. So, and are you building the Rope Master? Are you building anything else, or you know, have you got a YouTube channel? Yeah, you're building the Rope Master. Jolly good, jolly good. Yeah, how are you getting on with it? All right. Are you struggling at all, or you are struggling? Okay. Well, some of us are actually, including myself. I'm struggling. And it's a problem keeping the buses nice, because obviously me and Christine were painting ours, and that involves different processes. So I paint with Penny. That's all right. It doesn't matter that you're late. You can watch it back again. I don't want to take over from anybody, by the way. I'm just doing a quick resume of everything, so it's not a problem. So there's no way I'm taking over from you or anybody. So no, we've got problem. I mean, storing our buses. We have boxes, and they're actually boxes that you can sit on the boxes. You know, they're and you can put things in them. And we bought them especially to put the Rope Masters in because they were just big enough to go in. But it's now we're building like there's the roof over the bottom deck, then there's the metal framework, and then there's your seats, and then there's the destination, and then everything else, and the wiring work. So you're constantly taking this bus in and out of a box, because obviously we want to try and keep them nice if we can. So that causes a problem on its own, you know, because you've got to be so careful taking them in and out of the box that you don't scratch them or you break anything. And we're about to have some major work done at home, so we're going to struggle within the next few weeks, I would have thought. We don't exactly know when the date's going to be, but we've got a lot to pack away because they're going to go everywhere in the house. So we're going to really struggle in the next few weeks. That's if they get their finger out and actually do something, that is. So we're going to have some major works taking place. And so we're thinking now ahead. We're thinking, well, we've got the table here. We could put the boxes on the table so they'd be out the way. and we've got everything else that we'll have to put away somewhere else. So there we go. Yeah, God. Penny says she's good, jolly good, jolly good, and Steve Graham says, "Hi, Penny." I think we've all met one another through the channel itself, haven't we? Through Build the Route Master. Excuse me a minute while I have a drink. I'm a bit hoarse. Well, I'm a bit donkey really, but you don't tell anybody. That was a joke. And that'll be the last joke as well. Right. Right, anybody else anything to bring up then before we go? I think I mentioned everybody's channel that I should do. My advice to people is keep at it, be patient, and I'm seeing some wonderful, wonderful builds. I really am. I look at the Facebook group every day without fail, sometimes 4 or 5 times a day, and I bet everybody else does too. You know, waiting for updates of people getting different issues and putting them together. You're making such a marvelous job. This is a one-off. This is a supreme bus. This has never happened before. I mean, I've collected models. I don't know if you can see. I collect models. I've not collected them for the whole of my 50 odd years, but I've known about models for the 50 odd years that I've been on this earth. And there has never, ever been a 1/12 scale model built like this. There's never been one. Now, a few people say, oh, it's not like a route master. There's something wrong with it. You know, it hasn't got this or it hasn't got that. It hasn't got the other. And if they read the bits of paper that was actually sent out with us with this issue number 1, if they read inside there, in particular, that paragraph, not that side, I think, that paragraph there of building your model above the Jacobs Crackers advert. If you read that on issue number 1, that tells you that there is potential there to put your own spin on this model. They've done it to a certain aspect, but they haven't done it to a full aspect. Now, if it was done to a full aspect of everything and all, then you'd be looking at double, maybe triple the price that it is today. Because obviously there's lots of little details that got to be added in there. But that's great from a model building point of view, from somebody who's keen and interested in buses such as me and models. That is superb. I'd much rather put a little bit of my spin on it than just have somebody say, there you are, that's all you're getting, but it's going to be £5,000. You know, so that's the way I see it. You know, if you're into criticizing every little minute thing, get on and do something about it. You know, you must have the skills. If you've collected model buses or you've built model buses, you must have the skills to do it. Get on and do it. Put your own spin on it. You know, that's what I say. Right. I'm just going to go through some comments. Any new die-cast buses, Dave said? Well, I got through the post. And I think these, well, there definitely was on my Amazon wish list. I got these 2 die-cast key rings, and I'm ever so grateful for them. So I don't know who sent me them, but thank you very much. It's much appreciated. So that's the only die-cast model buses that I've received or had in my possession recently. I keep going out of camera. Sorry about this. And they're ever so tiny. They're only maybe an inch and a half long, maybe. so they're only ever so tiny. So, but they're going to be on display with our other buses, our other red Routemaster collection buses. And I must emphasise red Routemaster collection buses, and you'll find out why at a later date, because obviously, you know, we are collecting red Routemasters. So, okay, let's. Mike says, someone's getting a notification page and get a group and community StreamYards and got live performance today. Yeah, yeah, it's brilliant. It's brilliant at StreamYards. As you know, Mike, I don't like going live. When we first met I can't get rid of it now. When we first met on the net, you said, "Oh, you should do the build live, Dave. It'll be great." Well, no, I won't be good at building live. I'll leave that to you guys. You're good at building live. I'm not. I might be good at showing things, but and maybe yabbling on for a few hours, but that's about it. So, but we'll leave it to you. But yeah, StreamYards, what a brilliant platform it really is, isn't it? So Mike says hi Penny. Penny says hi Mike. Oh, got loads of comments. Yeah, I agree too, Garda. Yeah, great community. Yeah, with Penny at the helm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's Garda and a thumbs up. And very nice. And you can use it an engaged railway. Yes, I suppose you could. Yeah, yeah, I suppose you could. You just reminded me actually, Garda. I've got another point about railway. Just try and go through some more of these. Oh, thank you, Mike. Thank you. And yes, yes, Zachariah Scott. Well, boobies galore. Yeah, well, boobies galore, eh? Yeah, well, never mind. I'm sure that's up your street, but it's not mine. Thank you. So, railway, right. Something else I want to do when I've finished the Routemaster. I've had this idea. I've got some model buses in the cabinet behind me, and I've got some cars and trucks and what have you somewhere else. And I've always wanted to build a model railway, but the model railway that I want to build is I want to build it 5 foot by 3 foot, something like that, and it just wants to be a single track. So, and alongside that, I want to build a tramway, and then I want to build a roadway. So we're going to have a tramway, a roadway, a railway, something like that, for 5 foot in length, 3 foot wide, and then a diorama of different hills and houses and whatever bits and pieces. And we're going to then show that at the various shows that we'll go to, just for a bit of something a bit different. So Zachariah Scott, yeah. Well, if that's what blows you off, mate, then get on with it, because I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? So anybody wants to know what I'm on about, just take a look in the comments. But I'd appreciate somebody knocking them on the head, because if you don't, maybe I will. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, that's what we want to do eventually. We want to do that with the shows that we go to, something a bit different, and something that I've always wanted to do. I've not got the space for a big railway, so obviously no way we can do that. So there we go. Right. Anybody else anything to add? No? Nobody else anything to add? Right. Okay then. All right, well, I'm going to end the stream here, even though we've got a nasty person on, obviously. So, but never mind, it's not a problem. To the nasty person or the nasty people in this world, you don't know me. You don't know me at all. You don't blow me at all. No, I've eaten bigger fish. You know what I mean? So there you go. Right. We'll bid you all a good night, and we'll catch you all later. And keep building. Okay then. Hope you've enjoyed what you've seen. Good night, everybody. Good night.